Welcome to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast, a place to discuss pain, passion, and pursuits.
Yes, I want to feel alive.
Breathe.
Make some moves.
Protect the throne. This is Sexy Freedom Media Podcast.
Thank you.
Blooper number one. Welcome everybody to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast. It's your host, Helen Edwards, and
January Liddell. Happy Aloha Friday.
And I've got my comfy sweater on because today we are going to talk about self-care and the 3 I's, which are intuition, intentionality, and instinct. So let's dive into the first one. January, what do you think about intuition when it comes to self-care?
Well, before we do that, I do want to talk about self-care and why it's vital and why we're talking about it. I think there's so much stuff that's going on in the world, and a lot of things, from what I've heard from a lot of my friends here on Facebook and just reading like all the group pages that I've been in, a lot of people have things that they're going through. So everybody has a story to tell, and work can get overwhelming. Life in general can get overwhelming. And so Helen and I felt it was vital for us to talk about self-care with the 3 I's. And the first I is intuition. And intuition is based on like reasoning, right? Like why would I need self-care? And so for me, when I think about intuition, I feel that self-care it's something that, like, when I'm reasoning it out, it's like you need work and home life balance, right? You can't just have all work. You can't just have all fun and play. It has to be balanced. And so when I think of intuition, when I'm reasoning, okay, well, if I just go and just rest and that's all that I ever did, then my work will suffer, right? And the other is true too. If I just do all work and no play, then that other half will suffer as well. And from what I have heard in Japan, those who work extensively, they have higher risk of having heart attack because the work is just, that's all that they are focused on is work. So that's what I think. But Helen, maybe you can explain to us like the 3 I's, like how did this, like, where did this come about? Like, what was it in your heart to share this?
Right. So self-care, I mean, if you just Google it, a shit ton of stuff comes up. I mean, it's out there, it's in your face. It's kind of like the thing, the groovy thing to do, which it should be, because we should take care of ourselves. Because if we take care of ourselves, we become better for the world and for our families and friends, and especially for ourselves. So the 3 I's, intuition is more soul guidance, and instinct, or I'm sorry, let's see, it was intuition, intentionality, and oh my gosh, and yeah, instinct. I had it right the first time. Okay, so let me rephrase that. So intuition is more soul-led guidance, and instinct is more of an innate physical reaction or behavior to stimuli. And then intentionality is more about that conscious awareness, that conscious decision to go forth in something. So the 3 came about because I think that one of the things that we kind of forget is the word instinct, and to really be aware of it. But we'll get into instinct in a second. I want to talk about intuition. What you said, January, is really good. There's a lot going on around us. And if you're an empath, you tend to take on a lot of what goes on around you. So it's really important that you do have a practice of self-care. And there is a list of things you can do self-care. We've done episodes where you can listen to them. And, if you don't know what to do for your self-care, we've got a list of things to tell you. It's easy. Google it, boom, do it, right? No, it's not easy, because most of us are go, go, go. We're in the fast lane. We're fast tracking it. We'll say, I'll get to my self-care later. And then what happens? We are run down, we're used, we're overused, we're tired, we're grouchy, we're moody, all the things. And next thing you know, we're like, I feel depleted. And I think it's important to have a good balance of both worlds, like fast track, slow track. And for me, like today, I'm like cozied up in my big sweater. I got a lot of things on my to-do list, but what can I do to practice self-care? Well, I can be more, intuitive with my feelings. I can check in with myself, see how my soul feels. Like today, I went outside and I just said, you're going to just stand out here and sunbathe for like 30 minutes and just be present with the butterflies. There were so many butterflies. Be present with the birds. And it sounds so woo-woo, but I did climb the woo-woo tree, okay? And I love it there. I felt like that was my soul guiding me. That was that intuitive feeling that said, I need some vitamin D. And I listened to that.
So speaking of that, I love that you listen to your body. I think a lot of us fail to listen to our bodies, and we're so bombarded with the idea of go, 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 and get that million and get that money and get that dollar and get that. I mean, I just feel like there's so many words that are being bombarded in our brains, especially if we're on social media, right? If we're on social media and we scroll, or TikTok or YouTube or whatever, and there's all these different ads and things that funnel into our feed that tell us, go, 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 just push yourself, one more time. But there is beauty and there is necessity in taking that break and really listening to yourself and listening to your body. Things will happen the way they're supposed to happen. And I think I was talking to somebody yesterday, and we were late. He was late for a meeting, but he said that my web developer. So my web developer, we were on the phone, and he said, I missed a class. He's taking an AI class. And he said, I missed a class, but I felt like my body needed to sleep in. To which I said, well, actually, I'm supposed to be awake at 5:30 in the morning, because I told myself that I would be doing all my routine at 5:30 a.m. And I slept in for 30 minutes. And I said, I slept in, but I felt like my body was intuitively telling me, you need to just rest and you need to just calm down, meditate. And I think that's, as far as self-care, before it used to be like, okay, self-care once a month or self-care once a week or self-care. Now I feel like this is a daily thing that we all need to take care of. So intuitively, because of, this is just my opinion, I feel like because of the internet has created this sense of pressure. And I think there's pressure for all of us to be a certain way, to look and feel and whatever a certain way, and be that successful person. There's all these classes, there's all these personal development classes. I swear, Helen, like I have like so many personal development stuff because I've seen it on ads and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great, and really intuitively, like we have what we need inside of us. We really do. Yes. There is value in taking personal development classes. Yes, there is value in reading. I believe in all of that. I believe that is a part of self-care. However, I also think that intuitively our body will tell us something, and we just have to pause and think, so like for right now, I know that I have something going on, down there, and there's a pain. And I know that pain is intuitively telling me there's only so much that you can do. So I don't run, right? I used to be a runner. I love running. Hopefully when this is all said and done, I can go running again. But I know that if I run, it may cause more damage or whatever. And so intuitively, that's my body and my mind, like telling me, slow down.
Yeah.
I would love to hear, like listeners, what do you think? Please post down below.
Yes, comment. We have this going live as well. So if you're watching live or you're watching later, hashtag replay. This will be on all of our platforms too. So just, quickly, if you've listened to any of our episodes, please go subscribe and give us a review. We'd love that and appreciate it so much. January, what you said about this, the internet, the mass amount of people doing something and going a certain way, and we feel a little strained from it, a little stressed out from it. It's because there's a lot of comparing going on. There's a lot of FOMO going on, the fear of missing out, that we feel that we got to keep up with the Joneses, right? That we keep up with the internet, keep up with our friends. And one thing I remember, I had this talk with myself. I love self-development. We share that in common. But there's a moment where it's, and I think Danny even said this too, where you're getting all this information, but what are you doing it? And what are you doing with it? Like, you have to have the action match up with whatever you're learning. And today I was working out, and I love working out. Working out is my mental health. And I thought to myself, I'm consistent. Consistency is the key for me. Without consistency, you're just kind of playing on the tracks. You're not really going with it. And consistency is in discipline. I remember talking about this a long time ago, having a relationship with consistency and discipline. And that actually can be used in self-care as well. Have the consistency of self-care. It doesn't, like January said, it could be something every day, something so small, which I would challenge you to make it bigger, because you're worth it. Don't make it small. Don't play small with your self-care. Make it big, make it a part of whatever it is. Having fun is a big part of my self-care. Go ahead.
I love that you said that, because you challenged us, all of us that are going, well, some of us that are going to your wedding, and you challenge us, let's do the shuffle. And I'm like, the shuffle. And I'm like, you mean like the Cupid shuffle, like to the right, to the left? I'm like, I could do that. That's easy. And then you're like, no, it's a shuffle. I'm like, okay. And so you sent me some videos, and I swear I got tired just looking at that video. I'm like, whoa, I'm so hot. But I love it because it's so much fun. It's fun. It is out of my comfort zone. Because that's definitely something that I probably maybe would have done when I was a kid. Like, when I think of shuffle, I think of hopscotch. I think of hopscotch, and I think of course, the Running Man, Kid and Play, and I know that when I first started, I looked and I felt so heavy doing it. But consistency, when you're talking about consistency, I have been doing it, and every time I do it, I feel like my feet are getting lighter and lighter, as I do it. And I love that I can laugh at myself. And I think that's the one thing that's also a part of self-care, right? Is being able to laugh at oneself. And when I do the shuffle, I definitely laugh at myself doing the shuffle. So
that goes back to the comparing thing too, because we're in a group of girls, right? And I remember at first I was like, are you doing it? Are you doing it? Like, let's keep each other accountable, which that is the purpose. But then it came to the point where, I just told myself, stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Like, you put your videos in the group for you, because I want you to keep yourself accountable. I'm on day 23, and I'm telling you, January, I'm glad you're in it. I'm glad we're doing it. I don't care like what you guys do and how many days you miss and how many days you do it consistently. To me, I'm not worried about that. I stopped worrying about that. And I started thinking to myself, this is making me feel good. And anytime you girls post your videos, it makes me really happy. So I just learned to feel thankful right where everybody's at. And it's been awesome.
And I appreciate that. And I've seen like your growth. I've seen your, like I said, you're so much lighter on your feet, and you got it. You got this. For me, I do it whenever I'm able to do it. And that to me is self-care. It's self-care because I am able to be a kid again. I think
this is actually going into the next I, which is intentionality, because we're setting those intentions. This is like a goal, right? This is our intention to dance, have fun for ourselves, but also we get to celebrate with each other because we're doing this together.
And I love that we're accountable to each other for self-care. If you don't have an accountability partner, get one. You need one. I thought, a long time ago, I thought, I could just do this by myself. And I'm actually very used to being by myself on my own, doing the things that I need to do. But having an accountability partner helps so much, because then it's like, oh man, she's going to wonder where my video is, and I better put that down. So it's good. So if you don't have one yet, get an accountability partner, even for your self-care. It's vital. So yeah, intentionality. I love that. That's the second word that we're going to be talking about. And intentionality is what do you intend? And that's an everyday thing. Even with my kids, I always ask them, what would you like your day to be? How would you like your day to go? And, you set your intentions for the day. How do you set your intentions, Helen? Like what are your thoughts in terms of intentionality and self-care?
I would probably say the biggest answer to that question for me is sleep. So my nighttime routine, I used to say to myself, my bedtime is 1 a.m. because I'm able to sleep in every day if I choose, but that wasn't allowing me to be productive. I was always doing my workouts later, and I was getting really upset because I was rushing through all the things I had to do. And I was like, okay, this 1 a.m. bedtime is not working for me. So I need to intentionally set this for 11 o'clock, right? 11 for me is kind of early. So I was like, okay, how can I make this more intentional, to make myself feel better and feel rested? And I have trouble sleeping. It's just, I'm dealing with hormonal stuff. So my sleep goes up and down, up and down. So some days I get really good rest, and it's actually those days. And I look at what I've done, and when I have the best rest, it's usually when I put my phone down, when I intentionally put my phone down and I didn't look at it for hours. And I was just like, okay, the sleep, the natural melatonin is setting in. So I told myself, maybe you need to be more intentional with putting your phone down and just relaxing, like shut off the lights and just start breathing in and out, focus on your breath, focus on count sheep, it's, you're going to fall asleep, but allow your body the opportunity to, naturally perform all the sleep stuff within that it needs to do for you. Because I don't think we give it that opportunity as much. We're like forcing it. I want to be forced to go to sleep. Like, let me pop that melatonin. Let me pop all the things I need to take to fall asleep. When your body's like, I'm here, So I think for me, I'm starting to realize that and starting to be a little bit more intentional. I'm not quite where I want to be, but I'm intentional about where I want to be right now.
Yeah. And I think making that decision of I want to sleep at 11 and making that your time frame is good, because at least you claimed it. You claimed that this is what you want to happen. For me, my intentionality is I need mental breaks like throughout my workday. So I bought this alarm. Okay. So let me show this to you. There's like a 5 minute, 3 minute, 60, 45, 30 minute, 15 minute. Okay. So whatever time that I want, I can just flip it and then it'll turn the clock to that time frame. So what I like about this is it keeps me accountable to, if I say that I want a mental break, or I want a break, I call it brain break. So I want my brain break. Then I'll have that. And plus I have to stand up, right? I feel like for those of us that work from home, we're constantly sitting, and it's really vital for us to stand. All right. So stand every 30 to 45 minutes. So my intention is have a brain break every 30 to 45 minutes and just stand up, shake it off, do my little dance. I used to do dance breaks, back in the day. And I'm like, oh man, I need to get that back in. So that's what I'm intending to do, is do a dance break. So what I'd like to hear from the listeners is, how do you intend, or what are your intentions for giving your mind a break? Because we can go on like a hamster on a wheel and just keep going and going and going, or like that Energizer bunny. But eventually that Energizer bunny is going to run out. It's going to be low battery. So what are your intentions for the rest of the week? That's what I want to know.
Awesome. All right. So let's go into the third I, which is instinct. So instinct is an innate physical reaction or behavior to stimuli.
For instinct. So I feel like for instinct, it's kind of like, okay, so when this little kid was about to cross the street, I don't know who this kid is. Okay, but we're crossing the street. I'm with my daughter, and this kid was about to run across the street, and my instinct was to like not grab him, but say, "Hey, stop!" Because he's not my kid, right? So what I said was, "Stop!" Because I saw a car coming, and the car didn't look like it was about to stop. So for me, instinct is just that quick reflex of I want to protect, or I want to, it's like that mama bear instinct, right? That mama bear reflexes. And so I think for me, for self-care, I think instinctually like right now, my brain is saying, you need to go to sleep. That is what my instinct is telling me to do right now, is you need to go take your nap. So I do need to listen to my brain. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on instinct. I'm sure like the audience out there who's listening, you have another viewpoint on instinct, and I'd love to hear examples. So Helen, what's your example of an instinct
Share
in
your
terms of self-care?
Share your examples. So instinct was interesting for me because I never really cared or paid attention to the word. I mean, you hardly hear the word instinct really at all. And I was listening to a podcast, and it was talking about ancient, our ancestors eating food, and how they didn't count calories. They didn't count their macros. When they were hungry, they ate. When they weren't hungry, they didn't eat. But they had this instinct that they knew of to tell them when to stop eating, to tell them it's time to go look for food. And that's how they ran their food process, their fitness. I mean, we call it fitness today. They didn't call it anything. They just lived life, right? They had an active lifestyle. So I started listening to that, and I thought to myself, like, wow, I never really thought about that, but it hit me. I never was a person who counted calories, never did diets, never, nothing like that. And then recently I was like, I need to take care of my health more better. What can I do? So I started actually looking at different diets, and some people get a really bad taste in their mouth when they hear the word diet. So I don't really like to look at diet. I like to look at it more like, what is the direction I want to go with my food being something that fuels me, that makes me feel good, that takes care of me, that makes me good, glow inside and outside, that gives me more energy. Where am I going with my relationship with food, in other words? And when I heard the word instinct, I just thought to myself, that is a part of self-care, is recognizing that instinct that you have to say, I'm full. I'm not hungry. I'll save this amount for later. Or this food makes me feel like shit. I don't want to eat this anymore. I don't want to drink this anymore. I don't want to put this in my body. So I thought, that's interesting. Like, I want to make instinct a part of my self-care. I mean, it's already in me. I just want to be more aware of it and how it operates within my body.
Yeah, to tap into your instinct. I get that, because I feel like sometimes it's in our ear, but then we don't listen to what our instinct is telling us to do. And it's funny, I was talking to my husband about this the other day, and I said, we were at a vape shop, and the guy was asking us, oh, do you have any plans, any fun plans for the weekend? And, I thought to myself, is he asking us, or did he want us to ask him, what fun plans do you have? It's kind of like when somebody says, oh, are you thirsty or are you hungry? And it's really a reflection of what they're feeling, and they're not really listening to it. They're saying it out loud, but really that question is directed towards themselves. Like, am I thirsty? Am I hungry? What do I need to do, to fuel myself? And I think it's important for us to cultivate that instinct feeling, or to hear it and be a lot more aware of it. I think we tend to be so, like I said in the beginning, we're so bombarded with all these pressures and all these list of things to do, that our instinct is not as prevalent. It's not as up in your face, because all our priorities are laundry to do. We got to work, we got to, this is the forefront, right? Is all the things that we have to do. But our instinct is like, it's like, I feel like it's like having this battle with each other. So go ahead, Helen. What are you going to say?
No, I'm just totally agreeing with you. And I mean, it's so wild when I think about it, like how the body is trying to talk to you. The mind is constantly talking to you, but the body is so full of ancient wisdom and it has so much to tell us, but we're just clouded by all the background noise, from all the external noise, from the noise from our brain, from the overstimuli, that we can't hear what our body is actually trying to tell us. So it's just fascinating. When you think of the word self-care, I challenge you, and I'd love to hear your comments below. What is another word for self-care? Like, if you could change the word self-care, what is a different word you can use for it? Even if you make up a word, a magical word that just is for you, what would you change the word self-care into? And use that as a form of magic to tap into your own self-care, to listen to your body more. Oh my gosh, I'm totally going to do that.
I know, I want to do that too.
Together.
I'm gonna come up with my own word. Well, with that said, I think we're gonna wrap that up, because we do want to hear from the listeners. This is for you. So we'd like to share our thoughts, our words, but we'd like to have a dialogue with you all and hear what you have to say. So please comment, send us a message. You can find me, JanuaryLiddell.com. You can find me at January Liddell on LinkedIn, VIP Finance Builders on Facebook and Instagram. Where can we find you, Helen?
All right, everybody, you can find me on Hell of a Journey right there, if you could see it, with one L. You can find me on Instagram, Hell of a Journey. Sexy Freedom Media is our Facebook page. Please give us a review on iTunes. We'd love to hear from you. You can give us a 5-star review on Spotify. You can get my book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, available on Audible and Amazon. And thank you so much. And don't forget, you can support our show by buying us a coffee, and the link is in the show notes. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Aloha.
Bye.
Want to hear more?
Visit us at SexyFreedomMedia.com.